tribes it's certainly probably enough to make them really hate Meridian. And obviously there's a lot of Plains people who would feel very much hate and resentment towards Meridian. Ooh, this is taking longer than I thought it would. We've got a lot to cover. My video's telling me that I can only do so much more, but I will do as much as I can, and if I have to do a part 2, I will. And I'm not going to leave this space until we're through this, so don't worry. I'm not going anywhere, even if I do go somewhere and you think, where's part 2? It's coming. So, moving on, we got the back islands here, sort of in the background, almost like floating upwards and above. Almost like they're being lifted above. And it's an odd sort of setting where they're up a bit more than they are the ground. And you can see sky in between them, and it's almost like they're floating. But I'm wondering if, again, it's some sort of machine again, like we had the snapping turtle, or it's some sort of crab-like machine. I don't know. It's very hard to make out because the ferns sort of pile in between it. We see downed power lines in the background leading to some sort of, I think that's a prow of the ship just behind the second figure on the in the back of the shot on the right. There's almost like a prow of a ship and two guns pointing out. I think that's a downed ship. This was an installation. Could have been a beta installation for Zero Dawn. It could have been a research area or part of a base or a part of a defense force that was held out for as long as it could be before it was overrun with the Pharaoh Plague. So, that'll be interesting. And then we see the Plains people drop what they're holding and look up to the sky and see this whirlwind and this cloud just coming almost down, almost into a tornado. So the environment should be stable. There shouldn't be any need for this weather system to be there. There shouldn't be any disastrous uprooting events. That should all have been controlled by Gaia. But without Gaia, maybe the weather is being a bit more let go and not being micromanaged as it should be to support life and to nurture life. It's instead being left to go a bit wild on its own, really. So that is something that they haven't seemed to have seen before. And again, this is the derangement, but within the weather system. So I'll be interested to see that.
There's nothing I wouldn't do to save this world.
But again, the weather system is showing red flicking through the clouds. And this beautiful shot, we've got the Horus that's been sort of left in the background, and the red is forming above that, but almost off to the right over here. And then the robots that have been destroyed and things that have been left. And again, that's the Pharaoh Plague that was defeated. But I'm sure, and the rest of the plague carried on because we know it did. So we're gonna see, I think, a lot more shells of old Pharaoh robots just left out in the open. They haven't been buried by time, or they've been partially buried by time, but they are left there because they were destroyed in the initial pushback on Enduring Victory before they retreated. They were destroyed, but the rest of the plague carried on. So these will stay here because they were taken out by Enduring Victory and left by the Pharaoh Plague. So moving.
There's nothing I wouldn't do to save this world.
Went back a bit there just to get that nice underwater shot. Now you can see the rebreather on the nose and mouth. I'm wondering if that's Old One's tech, because you can see sort of bands trailing behind the back, but it doesn't connect to anything on the back. There's no tank on the back. There's nothing back here. So is it old one's tech and then you've got the little like bands in the back? Does that store oxygen in each more of those sort of like clips? Will that give you more and more oxygen? So can you upgrade that so you can breathe underwater longer? I'd like to see that, and like some sort of system where you can adjust how long you can stay underwater, starting with like just the normal rebreather and a small amount of time, then you can add on to stay underwater longer.
No depths I won't explore.
So again, you got the underwater shots and she's moving behind ferns. Will that be the underwater camouflage? Because you're going to see some of these machine predators moving in to try and stop you. Snapmaws are going to come and try and get you out of there probably. So even on the ferns you can see a little bit of red underwater. So will the cover be these long tall ferns underwater, or will it be a completely different system? And again, you can't see a tank in that. So these like scarfs, we'll call them scarfs. So this underwater scarfs, can you add on points to the scarf to give you longer air more air underwater? And they just trail behind her like a hare. There is nothing on her back. She's not holding anything, and you can see overhead the Snapmaw just moving over in position. Now, again, I'd like to, like I said before, I'd like to see some more like shark-like animals and that sort of thing made into robots, but we're not going to see that just yet. I don't think that'll probably be a later trailer, but and then she pushes away the ferns and you can see quite clearly an underwater part of the city. I can't quite make that out. NRANC, maybe? It's difficult to see, and again, this is not that far underwater. I think there might be some Faro robots behind that, so whatever this was, either it was forced underwater during the battle or with the MPs, and we've covered all that, so I don't feel the need to go over it. But what is important in this shot is that now you can explore underwater. You can explore these underwater positionings. So the old buildings, the old ones buildings, and how much tech survives underwater. That's something that we've never really explored much. You can see lights underwater in other facilities. The Grave Hoards is a great example for that. You can see some underwater lights in some of the areas. After the first room, you go down that slip wire to the next room. There's actually a room right underneath those two parallels. If you don't take the zip wire down, there's a room underneath that, and there's some lights underwater. You can't get there obviously because you can't fully dive, but you can see some tech survive. So how durable is it, and how long would it last in a sea environment with salt water? Be interesting to find out. And underwater exploration. I'd like to do that a lot, and I think you do too, really, if we're being honest. This game really has forced all of us to climb every mountain and try and get to the top of buildings, find new ways to get new places and do new things. Even after the game's long finish, we're still looking for new places to explore. I'm still looking for new places to explore. I'm still trying to get to the Naming Cliff, even though now I start to feel that's very unlikely we'll get there. I'm still going to try. I'm not going to stop. I'm really just going to keep going with that. And every now and again, I'll go back to it with a new idea, or someone else says, hey, have you tried this? And I'll go and try it. But at the moment, it doesn't look feasible or possible. But that's not to say I won't try. Now with this underwater exploration, I'm going to be really on the ball with it. I'm going to have to start looking for new places to explore underwater. How long will my oxygen last? Will I be able to get there in time? Will I have to find air pockets? Will that be part of the game? Will it be very much looking around for air pockets? How do you refill your oxygen tank? Does it happen automatically? Is it a advanced enough? Is it an old one's system where it will refill, or was it crafted by Oseram? It doesn't look like it, but it could be. Old one's technology modified with Oseram technology. Maybe a bit of Banuk, maybe a bit of Plains people in there as something that they used or found. We saw a lot of destroyed ships in the harbours, so maybe you'd have, the first quest would be to swim out to an old ship, root through the stuff and find a breathing mask that's usable, that maybe a Plains person tells you about. In the old ships I heard a story that someone found an ability to breathe underwater and it's just a mask. And the focus would connect and show that on the actual mask. So, just a theory, but
No secret I won't unlock.
that's the dragon. So, that chamber seems to be full of sand, so it looks like a desert. But then again, it might be a underwater section that was never flooded, just sank with a building, and maybe it lies underneath the city and it was just never flooded and it's a chamber underneath. I honestly think I'm pushing more towards desert rather than under the sea, but who knows? It's certainly very striking. It's got that reddish tint of a colour to it and the dunes around it. Ah, now this one is very interesting. No barrier I won't cross. Now this is a picture of rocks almost, and something purpley in between the rocks. It looks like rock breakers' mouths. It looks like about 3 rock breakers' mouths, and then something in the middle coming down like that. And I don't know, I got on the highest sort of graphics wise I can, and I can see people standing on top of that formation and spikes on the side. So there's spikes either side, and then there's people on about 6 people standing on top, and what looks like it could be part of an old one's building behind it that snapped off maybe, and it looks like tendrils around it. So, but what's really interesting about this shot is what's happening in the front of the frame. Right down here, there's a rock, but it's not a rock. It's blue, it's purple, and it's got TTT on it. I know, it's troublous in Terrace Town. No, that's an old game that I used to play and still watch people play occasionally. I'll do another video on that another day. But yeah, it's just got maybe what could be a screen and some lettering on it and some reddish purple at the bottom. So I'm wondering if this was an old one's base that was converted to a bandit camp or a settlement. It's very icy up there. You can see the mountains move inwards, so it would be very contained and not accessible for anyone attacking. They'd be met with a hail of arrows and probably a hail of rocks. It'd be very difficult to get in there and attack that area. And I'm starting to wonder if this is the other tribe that exists in the Forbidden West now, and probably massacre this one. Tanak. It's pronounced Tanak. Okay, it's pronounced Tanak. I put that in big capital letters. So the Tanak, Tenakth, Tanak. Okay. And their belief is that the strong take from the weak. Now, originally, Meridian was going to invade and take from them, but a huge battle ensued, and the bottom line was that Meridian never took from them because they were so strong that they actually slightly feared them, I think, and that taking from them would probably lead to another war. They believe that the strong prey on the weak, so whoever lost that battle would be seen as weaker. So if Meridian actually lost, they might have been preyed upon by the Tanak. Now, in the escaped prisoners mission, there is Ulith. I'm not even going to try and pronounce that. There was an escaped prisoner who believed that Aloy should drink her blood and take her strength after she killed her, thus taking on her strength and living forever. But it's very much a horde mentality that they will be the strongest, the fastest, and the best warriors around. And I wonder if it's them with the elephant machines. Let's call them Oliphant machines, because who doesn't love Lord of the Rings at this point? And I wonder if it's them at the end, but I will go over that when we get to it.
I won't cross.
And then we see the desert again, and this is where I think before the dragon area is probably underneath the sand there. We see a lot of cars in a line, so it's probably refugees who are trying to get away from the battle on a road that probably just got overrun when the Pharaoh plague swarmed through, and that was reduced to desert, which it would be after they'd taken all life away.
This mission is
Right, the next shot shows a spire with like a winged tip at the top, almost like perches. They look like mini moons, and then a little stands, almost like perches. But what's important in this shot is the mirrors. That looks very much like solar paneling all the way around. Whatever this structure was, it was an important one. We see no red in the picture, so no corruption, as far as we know, has made it this far. It doesn't look like it's coming in or anything coming onto it. So this could be another program from Gaia, or it could be Vass Silver. Check out my previous video below in the description on Vass Silver. But this could very well be Vass Silver's home, or what was Vass Silver's home. But it doesn't look really man-made, except it must be. But it's hard to see what it is and what it could be. And I'm sure we're going to get more on that. This could be the home of Vass Silver, but I don't think so. There's no tribe surrounding it. There's nothing near it. There's no settlement around it. So I think this might have been maybe one of Gaia's sub-functions that's just been left to time. Because it was built after the Pharaoh plague, I'm guessing, because of those mirrors. They would have been destroyed or damaged in the attack. If this was a previous iteration of Vass Silver's building, it would have probably been used as an outpost at some point and then destroyed with the rest. This was built probably after the Pharaoh Plague, so I'm guessing this is a sub-function of Gaia. That is my interpretation. Feel free to have your own opinion. And then icy shocks.
If I fail, there won't be anyone left.
So again, that was climbing an icy cliff like you see in Frozen Wilds. That might be maybe Rocky Mountains sort of area. I mean, we're already kind of into that area with Frozen Wilds, I think. American geography, not my strong point, but I did have a quick look on the map before I started this and looked up where the Rocky Mountains are. Yeah, that could be just a nice northern sector just to explore. So we're certainly seeing a lot of variety in our environments, which is what I want to see. It's what we had before, but not on this scale, I don't think. We're going to see vastly huge areas of desert, areas of jungle, areas of beach. And it's all following the coastline. So I wonder if it's going to be... The coastline's obviously going to be probably the edge of the map and a bit of sea. And then all this land stretching back to the original point of Sunfall and the gates. Who knows? Obviously here we've got the Golden Gates shot with the Golden Gate Bridge that's now collapsed. We see a destroyed Horus in the water, and I can't just help but feel I'm going to climb every inch of that. And the great thing is now I can get underwater, so I can look at it underwater. There's scaffolding on the left hand side of the video and the bottom left that I can scale and get up onto certainly that part of the bridge. Now the main part of the bridge itself, I could probably scale the Horus and transfer from there left onto the bridge, and the back bridge, I think it's hard to tell, but in the opening shot as Aloy's moving along, there is a pillar that dips down into the water, and I'd like to just get up onto that to go along to the side to get up to the top. I think that's going to be climbable. At least part of that is going to be climbable in the game. But I just want to climb all of it, even if it's not climbable. You know we're getting up there. You know you're going to see me at the top of that. I'm going to be like, I did it. Because you know I'm going to try and do it. I'm going to try and I'm going to succeed because I want to get on top of that. I want to do that. For me, for you, I promised it's going to happen.
To stop what's coming.
Alright. To stop what's coming, and then we see the 3 trails of light in the sky. Again, sky. It's red. They could be meteors, but they fade so fast. Is Hades in orbit? We don't know where Hades is. It could be built outside the atmosphere, in orbit. Built before Gaia, maybe, and sent up into space. We know the launch site exists. There were launch sites that existed off planet, to get off planet, sorry. So was it sent up before all this and it needs to send its program down? The red suggests Hades, but it could be something else entirely. And again, this could be Vast Silver, and it could be in orbit. It could be the Odyssey that we think had blown up, but maybe it made it to its destination on another planet, discovered it inhospitable, stayed on the ship, came back to Earth and found it overrun with people and decided to get rid of all of us. Or for whatever reason thought we were too primitive and decided to get rid of us and then take over itself. Could be a lot of things, or it could just be meteors, a red herring. I doubt it though. All of this sort of stuff. Oh, my bad. That was my bad. I hit the wrong button. That's the problem with pausing and starting videos again. It's so difficult to not click on something else that's adverts. See if I can get that back. without the children singing. Yes, there it is. Sorry, my misclick. Fast forward to there, and okay. So next we see Silence. I'll keep it on mute now. I think, well, maybe I got the music back. So you see Silence turning around. We know he's going to be a threat. We know he was always going to be a threat going forward. Mutual self-interest indeed. So he's probably teamed up with bandit tribes or the Tanakh to promise them machines to serve them, to help defend their borders or help wage war and help attack other clans, and in exchange he wants something else. So he wants whatever they have. What's interesting here, I think, is his shoulder, his belt, almost looks like interconnecting panels, much like the arms of a Horus that were interconnected with these different things, whether that's armor or it could be some form of oxygen like the scarves that Aloy used to breathe, or if it's just a pattern just interweaved in its design. You see him turn around and he's got his lance back, or he's got a lance. So he's using a new lance shaped very similarly to his old one. He probably crafted it before he gave Aloy his. Now, what is he trying to do with that, really? And corrupt machines and turn them to his side? But did he program into his lance, or at least put enough of a failsafe in to release Hades and bring it back to him? Because at the end you see Hades' program go off and go into that jar that he made. Now he gave Aloy his spear. Did he give her his spear specifically to recapture Hades, knowing that she would plunge it into the heart of the machine? He may have built in a failsafe to recover Hades for himself. So that's something to consider. And then his staff glows blue, like we see, with a Banuk almost. And in the final shots, we see Aloy riding through the jungle and the pterosaurs overhead. Some people call these pelicans. I call them pterosaurs. They look like pterosaurs. They have the wing type for it. And whether they'll be like a scouting robot, much like the Watchers of the Air, they look too delicate and flimsy to be scavengers or anything built for attack. I think they're maybe scouts, aerial scouts, that will be surveying over an area, maybe in a circle or a figure eight pattern, or just a flying pattern in general, to spot anyone who's hiding. And it's the only way to really observe these vast areas. So again, it shows the jungle, the pterosaurs, the buildings down in the bay, and the broken shoreline all the way up to the Golden Gate Bridge. And I think that's the... Sorry, my bad. I think that's the Trans-American... what's that? The Trans-America Pyramid. Just refer to my notes there. The Trans-American Pyramid in the background, just outside, at the back of the shot, just above the Z in Zero Dawn, in Horizon, sorry. The detail here is really, really good. Like, crisp, clean, you can see everything. The waves are coming in on the shore. There's breeze moving through the trees. The clouds are looking beautiful. And then Forbidden West comes up finally. Yes. The bandits at the end, or the Tanakh. Is it the Tanakh? They seem to have, when he pulls back his arms, there seems to be a click, like they have weapons on their arms, That seems to be very bladed, but maybe something, those blades will shoot out of the arms. They seem to be very much a warrior type tribe. There's red paint on them with black, whether that's tattoos or actual just war paint. At first I thought it was some sort of like very clinging vest, but it doesn't seem to be that. There's skin patches I can see. So it's either war paint or it's just tattoos, and these guys seem to be like the elite warriors riding those giant elephants. We are calling them elephants. And just in an attack line towards Aloy, whether they're just defending their territory, whether they're on the hunt or on the attack. And as it rears its trunk, you can see blaze on the side of its trunk, and moving up to the tusks, you can see little blaze pods on there. And it looks like these have been retrofitted as some sort of transportation for humans, because there's wood on top, there's spikes on top. What they were used for originally, I don't know, but whether they were corrupted and used, or if they were ever used for mass transportation of materials, because we know certainly like the spider crabs that carry all the stuff in their back, they can all move across in herds, but these would transport huge amounts of material over vast distances through probably rough terrain. So I'm guessing they were originally transports that were converted for human transportation. Certainly a machine I'd like to go against. I'd like to fight that quite a lot, to be fair. All these different little moving parts and reinforced areas, and no doubt their human counterparts now have reinforced some of the weaker areas. Probably would be shooting down from above or throwing spears, daggers, blades, anything they could from the top to attack whoever it's underneath. Or you could even use that as a blaze, maybe like a catapult sort of thing.
I will be ready.
And finishes up with just the gorilla trailer. And then the logo. So honestly, that's my entire breakdown of that trailer. Let me know what you think in the comments. I'm going to have to end it here because I have been going for an hour. And just to give you an idea of what's going on here, I started at high quality and my phone automatically picks a lower quality after we go over an hour. We've gone over an hour. And for every 20 minutes of video, it's an hour of upload. So I'm going to leave it there. Let me know what you think in the comments. I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, leave a like. Subscribe if you want to, and yeah, I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.